Hello and welcome. I'm Bluntz. Today we're going to be making something that is really near and dear to my heart. When I was a rock star back in 2014 maybe, I went to New Orleans with my band for the very first time and we stopped at a place called Coops Place. It looked like a dive bar, but I ordered the Seafood Gumbo and a Bloody Mary, and it was the greatest meal I've ever had in my life. In New Orleans, Coops Place. So today, we're gonna be making my version of a gumbo, and I got it all right here. So sit back, relax, take some notes if you want to, and enjoy this episode of Mocha. So a good gumbo requires quite a bit of prep and a few extra steps before we get started with the whole cooking process. So today we're going to be making a seafood gumbo. We're going to need about a half a cup of all-purpose flour. We're going to need 1 cup of fresh cut okra. We're going to need 3 to 4 cups of chicken stock. We're going to need about 2 cups of shrimp. We're going to use a can of diced green chilies. We're going to use 1 whole green pepper. We're going to chop up 4 Roma tomatoes. We're going to use 2 poblano peppers. We're going to chop up 5 cloves of garlic. We're going to use about 2 celery stalks. We're going to chop up a whole yellow onion. We're going to use some andouille sausage. We're going to use some crab meat today. We're going to use about 4 tablespoons of butter. And then we're going to use a series of seasonings, and we'll go through all of that when we get to that process. So the first step to making our gumbo is prep. We're going to chop up all our vegetables, we're going to get them all sorted together, and then we're going to get started on our second step, which is the roux. So let's start with the vegetables, and I'm going to go double time on the chopping here so you don't have to watch me do the whole thing. So now that we got our vegetables all chopped up, the next step is to make the most important part of the gumbo. It's actually what makes the gumbo a gumbo. It's the roux. Basically what the roux is it's flour and oil. In this case, we're going to use butter. And it thickens the whole, the soup, the gumbo, the stew, make it more like a casserole. So I'm going to toss this butter in my skillet. I'm going to put 3/4 of a cup of flour in there, and I'm going to continue to stir. I'm not going to stop stirring until it gets nice and brown. I cannot let this burn. If it burns, you have to start all over from scratch. So let's get this started. All right, so I'm going to start with my skillet side, and I'm going to turn this to high. I'm going to toss my butter in right away. And while my butter is melting, I'm going to measure out 3/4 of a cup of flour. All right, while my roux is getting started, I'm going to cut up my andouille here into small pieces. And while we're stirring that, we're going to start to brown our sausage. It doesn't need to be perfect on this end. And I'm not going to dump in all the flour at once. I'm going to do about 1/4 cup at a time. And I'm going to do it nice and even. And I don't want any of this to burn. You can already see it reacting to the heat. So you just start moving it around, stirring it right away. I'm gonna start the burner on my second burner here. This is gonna be like a deeper pot and I'm gonna start heating up my sausage. Make sure that you're constantly stirring this roux. If it starts to feel like it's getting a little dry, you can throw some more oil in, but just do not let this burn. That's looking like a good roux right there. I'm gonna turn that burner off for a sec. Focus on these sausages. We want to brown these to get some drippings in the bottom of the pan. It's also going to be crucial to the end flavor. And I know you can't smell this over the video, but once you start to smell the sausage, that's kind of when you know things are happening. The things you want to happen are actually happening. And we're going to transfer this over to our pot. We're ready. We're ready. Dumping that right in. And this is going to be a quick transition here. All right, we're down to a single pot here. We're down to our roux and our andouille right now. And we're gonna start tossing in our veggies. So we're gonna start with our roots, which is the okra and the celery. Start mixing that all together. Toss the rest of our chopped vegetables in. Mix everything up. While everything is getting hot here, I'm going to measure out a cup at a time of chicken stock. One cup, give it a good little stir here. Two, a good little stir. It's beginning to look a lot like gumbo. So now I'm going to toss in my can of diced green chilies. Green chilies going in. Stir those bad boys in. And then I'm going to toss in my can of crab meat. Sometimes I like to do fresh crab meat. Without impunity. Use the whole can. No such thing as too much crab meat. I'm gonna toss in my shrimpies. We like to cook our shrimps a little bit longer here in this household. And then lastly, we're gonna start doing our seasonings here. And I'm just gonna eyeball this. Some sea salt. Some paprika. I'm gonna add some cracked pepper. And some dashes of Cholula. My last ingredient is some gumbo file powder from Penzi Spices. This is gonna give the gumbo a little bit more thickness near the end once it's all cooked. I'm gonna do about half a teaspoon of gumbo file. Give that a good stir. My last step before we cover this is I'm gonna just place a few bay leaves on top here and let this flavor soak in. All right, my gumbo is starting to smell really amazing. I'm gonna reduce the heat to a medium here. And we're gonna cover this and let it simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll be ready to give it a shot. So we'll be back. So it's been about 20 minutes. I'm ready to open up my pot here and take a look at my gumbo. Look at that. All right, it's time to give this a shot here. It smells amazing. Now remember, I'm trying to recreate my New Orleans experience at Coops Place, which is the greatest meal I've ever put in my body. Still quite hot. Oh man, the cat smells it already. That means it's a good sign. That is good. Warms your body, like right here. Like physically warms your body. That's what you're going for. It's just perfectly cooked. It's nice and thick. Oh yeah, flavorful, spicy, super good. Now the cat's interested. Right, Mitty? Thanks for joining me on today's episode. Join me next time. We'll make something completely different. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Donate if you can.